Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Zamora. I am a student of UAT, and today I'll be diving into a little bit of a tutorial in how to get acquainted with some of the, platforms that we usually typically use here in the VR world. So obviously, there's usually a Unity crowd, and also there's an Unreal Engine. Today, I'll be demoing Unreal Engine. Some of the things that we want to take in consideration is how to open the platform, how to create a project in VR, maybe how to download an asset and maybe install it. So let's go ahead and get to it. So I actually have a couple things here that you typically use. Epic Game Launcher is usually the one that I like to kind of somewhat open first. It allows me to keep me up to date on what's going on right now in the somewhat in the gaming and world of VR. As you can see, there's a segment just for Unreal Engine right on this spot right here that actually, is literally dedicated for it. So in here, you'll see Unreal Engine. You got tutorials and learn how to do certain things. Getting started, and why not get some coding, and why not in CC plus. One of the biggest things that I recommend doing is looking at the marketplace where you can actually download or purchase already created artwork for you. I think it's important just because sometimes we might spend too much time or maybe even money on a artist developer, or perhaps we get hung up on that type of field rather than just really the logistics and the programming, and more importantly designing of maybe a simulation game or presentation, for lack of a better word. So definitely highly encourage you to kind of take a look at this. That's something that I like to kind of take a look at once in the blue moon just to see any freebies. I actually downloaded a couple already. You literally just kind of click add to cart and then check out. In the library, you're going to be able to see somewhat of, obviously already, it's called Vault. You'll see things that you already downloaded. And then more importantly, you definitely kind of get to see your current project and engine version. So Unreal Engine has multiple versions of the platform. Some of the assets are not compatible with the platform, so I would be cautious on which one you're using. I also highly recommend taking a look at some other offsite or websites that allow you to download free content. One that I found and run into is called Mixamo, and that usually, you know, it's kind of interesting to find somewhere you can demo an animation. So you can actually download a free, already created character by somebody, um, and literally it simulates the whole thing, right? So you can actually rotate it. You can do multiple things with the actual character. But the interesting part here is that you can also throw an animation on it. So, for example, if you're doing a fighting game or simulation, obviously you download somewhat of specs here on on the character, and as you can see, it gets very interesting. Like you can actually change the posture, overdrive, you name it, but you can download the character, and obviously this downloads in the correct FBX file that it can actually be then later loaded into your Unreal Engine, which I think saves a lot of time. Or even if it's not the character you're going to be using, it gives you somewhat of an idea of what to expect. So let's go ahead and back into Unreal Engine. We're going to go ahead and launch 22. It seems like it's very compatible with a lot of the stuff that I downloaded already, and then kind of go from there. So let's go ahead and exit this out. So things kind of running a little smoother. But as you can see, I already have some projects here that I've been testing out. Already when you start seeing, obviously things like this, it definitely references VR. When you're opening the platform, I usually like to make the reference between kind of like a Word file, an Excel file, that when you either opening a new file they're going to be working on or an existing one, right? But when you open a new one, it kind of gives you templates. So I don't know if you work with Excel. It kind of, if you're doing budgeting or you're doing a calendar, it already has the template. And on top of the template, it also has already some of the formulas coded for you for adding and subtracting if you're doing like budgeting, for example. Same thing, same here. Like you have, obviously you're working with different platforms, different projects, but obviously we're going to be working with virtual reality. It somewhat already references, you know, and what we call it has a starter content that it's going to have everything and more that you're going to need as far as tools and some of a preloaded template for you. It gives you options of desktop, console, mobile, tablet, you name it. So, we're going to go ahead and label this, JZ project tutorial. I'm going to create that project and hopefully it'll load up pretty quick. Some engines take a little longer than others to load up. Actually, some really take a long time. So keep caution that, pick your engine and do some research on the engine that you're going to be doing. It usually opens this VR template for us, has option 1 and 2. One actually has a gamepad optional. This one has a motion controller. So this is more of a, as you can see here, it has the controllers already kind of loaded. If you're working on VR and you're going to be changing the controller, or maybe you downloaded assets that already has maybe like gloves instead of a hand, or punching, for boxing, that's actually kind of, super, super helpful. So let's go ahead and, open somewhat of the folders that we have here. Starter content, here in the folders, you start seeing somewhat of the blueprints, the virtual reality folders that were loaded up with the actual platform. So, some of this already have a somewhat labeled, as you can see, HDM, locomotion map, motion controllers, startup app. So let's go ahead to startup app and hopefully it'll load up correctly. Sometimes you actually startup map is just this guy right here. So it kind of gives you that loading. So as you can see, it has different platforms depending on what VR design you're going to be doing. So, whether you're working with teleportation, which is that symbol right here, there's something where maybe you're working with gestures, maybe you're working with for example, platform or headset that has a capability, choose your poison, right? So it's two, which is the one that I have, has the controllers, but it also comes with hand motion and tracking. So, as you're doing that, I've seen some platforms that, just by like opening your hand, it opens that menu for teleportation, and when you close it, it takes you there. So things like that are now more relevant than ever. So kind of somewhat of a high overview of what to expect, and obviously kind of go from there. Um, Obviously, you're gonna have your labels, your outliner here that is going to give you the ability to move things around. One of the things that I found really cool is that you can actually connect your headset, and I'm still working on towards that, but actually you can connect your headset, I would say somewhat tether, direct or link using, I was doing some research on Steam to kind of somewhat connect the headset device completely to your computer. And obviously you can actually get inside that world and move things around and tweak. So different ways to program and design platforms or worlds, if you may. Here, also, if you had it connected, I believe you can actually VR preview. You can actually simulate it when you're playing your game. I believe right now, if we play the game, it's going to give us a very limited uh, platform movement. There's nothing going on. Obviously, we haven't done anything to the world. Um, so keep that in mind. But like I said, you obviously have different ways to simulate. Select viewport. There's different things that you can do here. But anyways, uh, on the adding an asset situation, we did download a guide not too long ago, right? We saw that. So let's go ahead and, as you can see, there's different starter content here. There's audio blueprints, you name it, maps in some cases. Obviously, we only went through that. But just keep in mind that the starter content does come with, for example, cubes. If you wanted to just kind of add one in there, you obviously kind of start setting that up. Let me see. Yep. It gives you somewhat of the loading content on it. What kind of skin do you want to load? Is this going to be a sphere with, XYZ colors, and why not? So obviously that's something that you can do here. Um, Go ahead and switch around and go. There you go. Going back to this. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and create a new folder and hopefully try to load our guy. So we're gonna go ahead and call this player skin, maybe perhaps. Oh, skin. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there. We're gonna go ahead and import this. I do have it in downloads. I think it was kind of coming through. As you can see, you start seeing um, different uh, particular formats, and it downloads in this format for you. Depending on how you download it, if you download it with an animation already in there, obviously it'll come through it. Has different folders, but let's go ahead and hopefully just open this up. It gives you different options how to bring it. Skeletal mesh, import mesh. Obviously, like if you're doing anything from this, and I usually just import all, and hopefully it loads up all the files that we need for that particular player to be loaded here. Um, Eventually, it'll give you some of the errors if you're running into. I think it's a matter of just kind of somewhat taking a look and weeding things out. But obviously it gives you somewhat of an idea. So, it gives you the skeleton, it gives you the physics asset already if you want to go in there and, obviously take a look and tweak things around. But, obviously it categorizes things by texture. Texture, this is more of a skeleton. There's a physics assets, the dancing of it if you want to tweak, if you, and it really just labels it, right? So I believe this is my guy. There you go. We just kind of load this guy up, right? And then obviously now it's in your it's in your world, right? You can move it around. You can, obviously make him bigger if you wanted to by using the scale. Let's see, we can speed that up, and hopefully this will simulate for us. Hold on. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if um, go ahead and kind of go from there. Skeleton, animation. All right. Yep. Yep. Everything seems to be good. Let's see if we can see what this would do for us here. Preview animation. Yeah. Okay. Everything seems to be correct on it. Might have to take a look. And that's kind of half of the battle here. You just want to make sure that you test this out before obviously everything kind of goes into full effect. But it seems like everything is on what's needed. Let me see if we are missing something. All right. think what we need to do is a simulation. Hmm. We don't have any inputs here that would actually trigger this guy, so we're somewhat stuck here. But technically, that's how you add the asset into your world. And obviously, if you had more, you can also import other ones. I believe there is hit tilt. We can import that as well. The animation. I think that's probably what I forgot on this. And I'll just load up. Hopefully, I did download somebody else minutes ago, having it ready for us. And that's just kind of doing the animation sequence. There we go. I think we just forgot to click on the animation sequence, but obviously now, as you start seeing, obviously it downloads everything for you. And once you start kind of coordinating, when that should happen, when this actually, if you are in VR and you were to punch it, to animate that, obviously, particular action. So as you can see, you can definitely start exporting. We downloaded Capaveda on one of them, but it actually, change things around. And you're talking about a skeleton here. You start really looking into, changing things around. You got the mesh. You can actually look at the skin if you are changing things around. For color purposes, the animation, what to expect, and the physics. So, if you're looking at it to be you making a character harder to hit, or maybe perhaps more difficult, this is kind of where we start tweaking things around. And I'm referencing a lot of VR unboxing. I'm being unboxing, so that usually kind of where I see a lot of it. So let's see if we can. Let me check. I really want to see this Kappa Beta, man. Let me see. I think I picked the wrong one. So here, let's take a look. Add animation. Let's look for the animation Kappa Beta. I think it's this one. Maybe it didn't load up. Maybe we didn't download it correctly. Definitely did the head hit, but it definitely seems like it didn't do the Capaveda. Let's see if I'm missing it. Yeah, something's up with this one. It didn't load it up correctly. So definitely go back and make sure that you got the correct download for this guy. You know what I mean? So uh, things to start watching out. And like I said, depending where you're downloading the asset, depending where you're downloading your animation, you're going to run into certain things like that. So keep that in mind. Actually, one last thing, just not to take this any longer, but I did want to um, see if it does let us simulate this from a different standpoint. Nah, so definitely not done yet. But obviously, keep this in mind and then, kind of go from there. All right, guys. Thank you.